Oh, oh, there he is. Da-da-da-da.
Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Nice to see you smiling.
Well, so
This is pretty amazing what you got here.
yeah. So I don't know how far you've been able to dig into it.
Well, just tell me how this got created.
Okay, so I got your WeTransfer thing, and started reading through it, and because we got Merlin C3PO over here, I figured, okay, we'll give some of the larger documents to this and ask it for a summary, and also ask it to just put this all together and give a strategy for how to approach this, using new technology or whatever is available to us to make this actually happen on the website and actually make it real. And so over the course of the conversation, this is essentially what I did here. Are you on with me? Are you on the document there?
Yeah,
Okay,
let's
so
look at it together. Hold on.
so the first, yeah, let's look at it together. Just one second. You gonna share? Yeah, you share. Yeah.
You can see it, right?
Yeah, right. So, okay, so you're about halfway down. So let me see from the top. So like the first thing I did was I gave it your PowerPoint, right? And I let it read through your PowerPoint and summarize that.
Mind-blowing shit, man. I
Okay.
mean, you've already learned more in a week than I've learned in a year.
So to back up a little bit about just just to stitch it together, the mechanics of actually doing it, it's a matter of uploading it to either Google Docs or Google Drive. The most foolproof way that I've been able to do it is upload it to Google Drive in the form of a PDF, and use there's a plugin for GPT-4 called Link Reader. There's a couple of them that I use. Link Reader is one. Link Reader seems to be like the best, the most kind of all-purpose, most foolproof one. There's a couple of others. There's one that reads multiple URLs. There's other ones that read docs, and
how does that get folded back into the experience?
Well, it's part of it. It's just because it's a plugin. It just is part of its quiver of arrows to throw at whatever question I'm giving it. So if I say I want you to go read this document, here's the address. I go to my Google Drive. I upload the PDF, and I change the sharing options so that anybody with the link can view it. And then I copy that link, and I go to ChatGPT and I say, I would like for you to read and summarize this document. Here's the URL, whatever else I want to say, and boom. And it hums and whistles for a few minutes, and it calls up the Link Reader because it has to reach out for the plugin to enable that capability. And then it goes and it reads the document and then incorporates it, and it gives me this summary here that you see.
But now, does that get concatenated with the other documents you submitted?
And then
just a big old package you send over there?
Over the course of the conversation, there's multiple strategies that you can do, because at a certain point you will get an indigestible quantity of stuff, so much stuff that you're kind of drowning in it, soaking in it.
That's Frank's first corollary. Immerse yourself.
Yes, well, yeah. So I'm sorry, what was the question?
Stop telling me the technical stuff.
Okay. I just wanted you to know that's how it's facilitated.
No, it was helpful, very helpful. And then
so now that it can read anything. It gives it eyes and ears, and I got to take that later. That's okay. Bye, Rob.
Okay.
So that gives it eyes and ears. I can tell it to go read a PowerPoint. I can go tell it to look at a JPEG. I can tell it to read a PDF, whatever. Okay. If I tell it to read a PDF, it can read charts, anything graphical as well as anything text. So that's fine. So what I did here,
I'll get back to it in a second here. I'm just getting up a notepad to take some notes.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things that I have found about doing this with ChatGPT is it's very, very good. It's also a little verbose. I mean, it is called chat for a reason, right? And I found that it is possible to get a little overwhelmed, to like have too much of a good thing. And so like some of these sessions I'm taking and like copying and pasting them into separate documents by like topic and all like that. But even that after a while, I'm starting to find even overwhelming. So the knowledge management of the knowledge that I'm getting from this is something I wanted to consult with you about, about how to now we have this pile of stuff, like what's the best, how can we manage this and capture and maximize on it. But anyway, let me show you what I found anyway in the first place, just from the course of this session and the topics that we covered, because I hit on a lot of important points. I think we got a lot of good basic direction summary, like here's what you do to solve that, kind of stuff. So I started with your PowerPoint, right? And let's see, scoot down to the next page.
I see that came from that, and that showed up in there.
Right. That's the first thing. That where it says Q, that's me. That's my question, and A is the answer from ChatGPT.
This is brilliant.
Okay.
These 15 are brilliant.
So it's like 17 pages now at this point. Right. So the next thing I asked it was, okay, so the next question was, okay, how do we monetize this? What are some ways that an endeavor like this can be reliably monetized on a long-term basis without alienating our target audience? And so it talks about the freemium model, as you see here, all this jazz here. Okay. So great. So we know how ways in which we can possibly fund this. Okay, next one down. I want to just kind of like give you a high level overview of what's here. Next one down is, okay, so I got a website, right? And I got this bag full of technology. I got all the pro versions of this dozen odd pieces of things, and I know how to use them, so you don't have to tell me the basics. Given all this bag of shit that I got and what we're talking about doing, but also taking into consideration new stuff too, and even some stuff that's maybe capable that I'm not even necessarily using. What's the best way to build this, right? And so that's what the next thing is. Some AI content recommendation stuff using Elementor, and it says use Slider Revolution, which I haven't been,
well,
but I'm going to now.
You had that for the gallery, and then it got out of date.
Well, yeah, but it's grown since then. It's quite capable. You can do an entire fucking site in this thing. This is the thing, and I get to this also. There's a lot of crossover between a lot of these things, So anyway, so advanced custom fields, TaxoPress, all this, going through all the different technologies that I mentioned that I already have and have already used significantly, in building other sites. We kind of like, capabilities we have at our disposal readily, and how we can use those to build this, right? To build what we're talking about here. And so this goes through all that. Okay, so next thing is, tell me more about Slider Revolution. And again, there's a lot of duplication between and betwixt these things like Elementor and all like that. Tell me also about AI chatbots and how we can use all this new stuff, blah blah. So that's what the next section is. Slider Revolution Pro. Yeah, scoot on down a bit. You and you're on. Yeah, keep going. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so like that's the end of that section up there about about that. So the next thing is, tell me more about Slider Revolution and facilitating, get into the mud with me here about this, how we're going to actually do it. So that's what that's about. And then the next thing, scoot on down. Again, there's a lot here, so I just want to give you high level. Some of this needs to get reorganized and optimized, okay? But I just want you to know what's here.
That's great.
Tell me about Sisu, okay? Then I copy and pasted. In a separate chat, I gave it your whole big thing about Sisu and asked it to organize that. And that's what this is. Okay, so I said, okay, so take that and add this into this, right? So this is the parent company, and also factor this into your understanding of what we discussed so far. Provide any observations. Let me know if this might add dimension to any of your previous suggestions. Okay, so that's what stirring this into the pot. Okay, and so that's what it gives me, observations and integrations and enhancements about that with Discover.
This bears study.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
I forgot even where I had my shit on Sisu. This is pretty cool though.
So then, okay, so like who specifically could we possibly approach? Okay, this gets a little into the grants and stuff like that, taking into account Washington State and New York State as well as federal. So it gave me some suggestions on that. And how should we best?
It's stunning, isn't it?
And how should we best? What should we be doing now to prepare ourselves for when in the future we're going to be, wanting to go and rattle their tree? And so it's giving me approaches about that, right?
That's this page.
That's this thing right here. How to think about preparing for the future even though it's forward thinking. So we have just some direction about that. Okay, then given everything we talked about, what are some, going back to the site now, what are some more ideas for really sparking engagement? I want you to really dig deep, use your advanced capabilities and analogy and pattern recognition. Think of some innovative suggestions, taking all this into consideration about how we can spark engagement. Okay, so these are some more ideas about that.
I'm still stunned. This is really good. This list is, a differentiator, and I start to realize that your technical skill would allow us to leapfrog other people that might be trying to do this, but just don't have the depth and breadth of technology that you're amassing,
With the help of this thing too.
But I think that's a sales point all by itself.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to get all this shit working, but get some of it working enough for people to realize, there's a there about making this thing happen with technology and with content. And I mean, circling back around, whatever degree of this kind of thing we can build is fodder for you getting a job in this area, because you are clearly the kind of guy that this industry needs. So,
well, and
it's in early days, right? And so there's, just like back in the days of 21CA, a lot of technological knowledge is needed to get out an outcome. That's going to get more and more simple and front-ended, but you see what I'm saying? It's still the Wild West here.
For sure. And I think yes, that, and I think even more so than the specific technological knowledge and the how-to, which is, yes, absolutely important, but because of who I am and how many times I've been around the block, thinking about different ways of thinking about the right questions, combining these things into coming at the questions from a different angle.
Well, that's what I meant in my initial comment about prompt engineering.
Yeah, well, right.
How far you've come in just a week, I think, on prompt engineering. Fucking unbelievable.
And now I are one. Let's keep going. All right. There's a little more here. Okay. Next thing is about accessibility. It's like, okay, that's great, but how do we make this accessible to the widest possible audience? Right. So here's a whole shitload of suggestions about that.
Yeah. We work on this with my software.
It's a must do. And like it says, it's prioritizing it. It ensures everybody, regardless of their abilities, can engage with it. And it also widens the audience reach, and it aligns with the inclusive spirit of art and its universal appeal.
Unbelievable.
Right.
How'd this guy get a point of view? All right.
Okay. Next is, go back to telling me more about how we can automate as much of this and save as much time doing this using AI assisted capabilities. Web design, content creation, asset management. How do we make this whole process for us as efficient as possible using the latest stuff?
That might cost money. So
I just want to know what's out there, So tell me what's out there that, based on what we've been talking about, that might help us, So yeah, and that's that. Yeah, and then earlier there's a couple of other documents. There's your aesthetic analysis document. These are just like basic summations.
Where are they?
Scroll all the further down.
Oh. Now, how do you put this list?
So this is where I started. I just gave it like one document I said, just summarize this. So here's your aesthetic analysis document. That's a summary of that. And then if you scoot down, there's the Blue Rider document and just summarize that. And then I stopped because I started going on this path about the site and everything. And that's what the whole rest of this other document is about. But these were like couple of early things I was
just trying so helpful. I can't even speak, because it's the inventory of my thought.
Right. That's the whole thing. And I'm doing the same thing with my stuff too. And I'm like, fucking God, Jesus, it's amazing. So helpful, but like I said, it can be like too much of a good thing. So like that's the high level summary of what we got. The slider revolution is definitely like the thing to go after in terms of like exploring that and its capabilities. And it's got a lot. And I've worked on it before. I've worked on it a few times, so it'll come back to me, it's not completely foreign. I will have to ramp up a little bit on it. And it's like a lot of these things, like it seems like, and this is part of the frustration I've been having with building out my own site, which I'm in the middle of doing, using ChatGPT to help me. I still feel like it tells me everything I need to do, but I still end up having to do every goddamn thing by hand still. I'm sure it's going to get better. But it's still handwork. I'm still having to stitch a lot of this stuff together by hand.
It's Wild West, man.
It still is. Now, one of the key implementing things about this and the way that in which I think a lot of this starts is a spreadsheet, right? And using this SheetDB IO thing that will connect a Google Sheet to a WordPress site through this ACF thing, as they call it, Advanced Custom Fields. In other words, you make a custom field inside WordPress that corresponds to your column in your database, in your spreadsheet, right? And when you go ask for the ID of the row, it goes and it pulls all the data from that row and it sticks it into the little box that's for that column on your WordPress site, in your template inside Elementor, and it shows up.
So there's
right?
some automation there.
So this way we can have a body of work. This is what I did with my stuff and with Bambi's stuff, is I made a database in Excel spreadsheet that has a column for everything, a unique ID, and even has embed codes for players and CSS code and HTML code, because it's just an Excel spreadsheet, and it could be it's saved out as an XML or what have you. It's just column row, right? But the idea is that this makes a definitive one-stop shop for the content. And we can talk back and forth between the site and the sheet with this intermediary, with this SheetDB IO, and with other intermediaries as well. So this allows us to capture input from other people and put it into a sheet. This allows us to read stuff from a sheet and put it up on the screen, right? That could
So
be a
I have some
catalog.
questions about, I have a question. So
Yeah,
this is what my product does at Verint, right? It allows you, it's a repository with a database underneath it, a bunch of authoring tools and workflow tools on top. In the editor, you can do tons of things, just like Microsoft Word, including embedding videos and images and all that shit. I've had some customers who try to embed all that content in a spreadsheet. It sometimes doesn't end well. So I'm trying to get my head around what, if you mean that you're going to actually have this giganto spreadsheet, it's going to have all the content, or we're going to go get a real database storage solution.
yeah, I'll show you mine. I'll show you my spreadsheet from my body of work here that I use. Let's see.
I'm not quite getting the use case sorted.
I'll show you.
Okay.
Here we go. Can you pass the baton over to me so I can share?
Yeah, let me
Or
just-
actually, you know what? Here, well, yeah, sure. Just pass it over to me.
Right, hold on.
Um,
Can you share now?
Yes, I can. Here, I'm going to share. Here, I'll just share my whole screen. Okay. Can you see this? This is my
Yeah.
spreadsheet here. Okay.
Dude,
So
you're a
the-
busy beaver.
So this first section, the first 41 of these records are complete. These ones down here are still in development. They're not fully filled out yet. But what I've got is I've got a catalog number. Starts with 21CA. I had to start with something sequential, even though I was entering them out of order, just so I had a sequential thing. I've got an ID stub, which is basically like the short code for which project it is, 21CA for 21st Century, BE for Bambi, Bent for Benton, etc.
You don't
You
need
need-
to bar.
Here's your database
Frank,
keys. You
Frank,
get it.
Frank, I
Here's
got it,
my-
all, Frank.
Yeah,
Where-
you're already
where-
done there. So
where-
here's,
this is what I do for a living. What
yeah, of course you do. I'm sorry.
basically, where's the content?
So here's the thing. Here is here's the credits, right? And that's a bunch of HTML code. Here's an iframe chunk of code, right? And here's URLs and all that jazz over here, right? And paths and file names concatenated together. So if
Okay,
need
I
to
think
change
I think I got it. I think I got it.
So now, yeah, go ahead.
So the content is in WordPress.
So the content, so there's placeholders
Or on
in
some other
WordPress.
site URL, right? It's-
Yeah, so here's the intermediary right here is this thing called SheetDB. And when I log in here as myself, SheetDB has a thing where it converts my Google Sheet to JSON so that WordPress can deal with it. All right. And it gives me this little endpoint here. And then when I go over to my site over in WordPress, WP admin, and I go over to one of my pages here for one of my bands,
Yeah.
right? And I go into like the Mark of the Astro Zombies page. I've got these custom fields here from this ACF thing that don't come normally from WordPress, but these fields correspond to the columns in that sheet, right? So there's that unique ID goes and pulls the data for this band from the sheet. populates it here and then feeds it up into Elementor, which represents it, which displays it.
Taxonomy one, or is that, what does Elementor do again?
Elementor is the page builder on top of WordPress that makes all this stuff widgetized. So I can, it's this.
I understand that too.
Yeah.
So still trying to,
so then the last step, and
Yep.
here's what gets represented, right? It
Yes.
pulled all this, that the URL of that background video sits over on YouTube. It pulled that and it fed that in. Everything here, like all got dynamically fed in, all this text, the player, right? These are all externally referenced objects. They just get flown in. Now, the last step is because that fucks up your SEO. The last step is a static site generator thing on the site that takes this and then makes a static version of it that gets served, and your caching thing or whatever handles that. That way it doesn't fuck with your SEO.
So let me state this back to you. What you're saying is the WordPress, is WordPress the authoring environment? It kind of looks like it.
WordPress is WordPress is the hosting environment that I build the website on in.
Where
and Elementor sits on top of it.
There's something missing for me, and that's a place where I can preview what this page is going to look like as I move things around and author.
That's Elementor. That's Elementor on top of WordPress.
Let me take the workflow then. I'm gonna write a page about a movie, Astro Zombies. I go into WordPress first and author content and point to different URLs that I want presented, and then it pops into Elementor, and Elementor sort of has the widget construction and preview capabilities.
You can. I mean, you can do it simpler than that. You can write it in Word, or write your document in Word, do your graphics, whatever, upload them, and then enter them into your spreadsheet, right? And then when you make the page for them, they fly in using the template that's already been established. There's one template for the layout that for all those pages. You change that template, the layout changes for everything. That's what Elementor gives you. It lets you all the site specific stuff like fonts and colors and all that stuff is all centralized site wide. There's just a small handful of templates to cover your whole site.
I follow that.
Yeah.
I may be still hung up on this, but I'm trying.
Go ahead, we'll take it.
Yeah, well, this is a key one to me. I don't want to go to Microsoft Word and figure this out, right? I want to create content. I want to have images or videos referenced where necessary, and then I want to put them together in something that's more WYSIWYG than just typing into Word and trying to position images and all that crap. That's a step backwards, in my view. I mean, is that what you did here? Did you go into an authoring tool and just put this whole text together?
What I did was, like, I made templates in the theme builder here for what posts would look like, and what pages would look like. It's just a handful.
So to me, it's back to my question. It looks to me like you're using WordPress.
Right. It's on top of WordPress. Right. It's a page builder on top of WordPress. So it's like a GUI. It's like a GUI on top of WordPress.
And that's Elementor?
That's what Elementor gives you.
I thought I understood it. You said, well, there's an easier way to do it. And then you mentioned all this other stuff about XML or JSON exports. And look, I know that stuff, but it's got to be easier to do.
Well, easy is yeah. No, that's an extremely complicated way to do it. What it did for me is that I've got a fixed body of work that has, a whole shitload of work that I wanted to standardize on the way in which it's being presented. And I also wanted to have it in a repository that wouldn't be dependent on either WordPress or Elementor or anything else years from now, that you would at least have something like a database of my body of work. And that's the spreadsheet. Yeah. So I'm taking it from that. I'm pulling it from there to populate this Elementor WordPress site, that uses their templates.
Okay, well, there's obviously multiple phases. Looking at the GPT output, there's about 20 phases of this work, or maybe it's just, stages of getting into these across the board, because you need a lot of these different things that's in there. I'll stop getting hung up on how one authors. When we get into the site and you just author 2 or 3 pages, it'll become probably bloody obvious to me, right? Of my stuff. So a lot of stuff, it depends on tagging, and actually maybe we should look at Bambi's site, because that's even more sort of like straightforward about that. This is really sort of like the key thing in Elementor, is that it's just these handful of templates
that govern the look and feel of your entire site.
Yeah.
And you're making iterations of those, and the way in which they get tagged is through like, a category tagging, right? That's how you connect it to the given template.
I'm
You're there.
okay.
So
So
does that connect the dots?
Many dots have connected. I think some of this stuff is you have to do it like you did and take a journey on some of it. So let's talk about the go forward thing here. We're going to get booted off here in a minute, but this is a good time that we looked at a lot of images and content together. We may have to go to phone in a minute, but so what do you see as a go forward generally? I mean, there's a ton of detail here, but generally speaking, what did you walk away with thinking in terms of how to build this stuff?
So going forward with building the site, but using the slider, the Revolution slider, probably is like the main thing as recommended. Let's take a quick look at that actually. Slider Revolution. Oh, there it is. These guys. This over 9 million users worldwide, blah blah blah.
So this seems like a great set of tools to snazify not only your not only like images and stuff, but maybe some interactivity here.
Yeah, a lot. Like it says here, it's really with no code, right?
Well, it's all templated, pre-built.
Yeah, like a lot of this kind of stuff with parallaxes and all this kind of jazz.
There's two. Okay, while we're here, just to express some requirements for you, there are
Please do.
There are 3 use cases I particularly care about.
Okay,
One,
hang on. Yeah, hang on. I'm grabbing my notes here.
yeah, grab your notes.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Use cases. Yeah.
Okay, and they might build on each other. The simplest use case is a gallery.
Right.
Okay, starting right. And then you've got some properties. And then the thing I want, and I've said this for years, I want this dual mode where I can keep starting that on the screen and people can riff through, look through different commentaries or analyses while that picture is still on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is to have a blog that references the same image, right? Let's be efficient here. Let's not have 9 images kicking around here. Let's have 1, and then you can have a blog experience with it. You can have a gallery experience where there's texts and things you're seeing, and then you have a multimedia experience where we do jazz art, right? You see some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And 4th, I might say reference images where you pull in from out on the internet other people's commentary, and then you use your tag setup to divvy out those experiences. Like I may only want to see commentary from other people about Starry Night, right? And you said something earlier, gosh, I tried to bring it all together. Search experience. That's just sort of, let me find everything that has the word blue in it, right? I mean, until we get a real AI thing that we can get for free or a little cost.
There's also the notion of using AI chatbots also to suggest tagging and all that kind of stuff.
I don't mind using that to give some representative examples for thought. My whole thing in my tag scheme is going to be, or our tag scheme is going to be about experiential tags. There'll be all the metadata, date, artist, time, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But then there'll be tags about down here it says artwork. I'm looking at the tags. Anyway, so
hey, you know what I was going to do?
Yeah.
What might be an interesting experiment for that is that you've got your essays on the paintings.
Yeah.
Right. And I've got those in my Google Drive here.
Yeah.
We could ask it to take one of those and see what it thinks we should derive as tags based on your exposition.
Possibly. I'm going to be a little persnickety about what I want to say.
Sure. Yeah.
Letting machines decide up to a certain point is great, but at a certain point, one does want to exercise one's one's
Oh,
vision.
of course,
But
no,
that's
no,
great-
it's
that's good. It's a great
appreciate it.
jumpstart fodder for discussion.
here, like this one here. I don't know if you can read.
Oh, I didn't send you these. I broke these all out into Word.
Yeah, this one right.
I actually did some work. I mean, compared to you, I'm like deer in the headlights here. So I'll send you. I'll actually upload them to the Google Sheet.
Here, yeah, okay. Is
Where's
this one here?
Google?
You want to try we could try giving it this one here.
How
How much time we got?
Don't give it all that.
No?
Don't give it all that. No, only give
Okay.
it water lilies.
Okay.
We might be out of time. Why don't you do one?
Oh, sure.
No, I mean, why don't you send me a Zoom meeting?
Oh, a Zoom meeting. Yes, sure.
It wouldn't take my Zoom meeting twice.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I see. We have 9 minutes left. That's fine.
All right. So
that's fine.
To show you down there, that's it. I don't want.
You don't want to go any further than that?
No, man, it's a different painting.
All right.
So
You could ask it to give it for each one of the different ones. You could ask it to.
well, dude, this is a reductive technology.
No, I totally get it. I totally
don't
get it.
wanna
No, I won't ask it to do
These
that.
aren't rich enough and long enough yet.
All right, it's fine. Fair enough.
So I want to stay away from the reductive technology. What I do want to be able to do is create some kind of an interactive experience with different pages of content that you would get across. They're all tagged to Starry Night, right? So they all show up, but they might have some other tags. We might want to study this a bit over time, but we might add a tag for like aesthetic experiential tags, or maybe a folksonomy where people can say what they think the thing is about. I don't know. There's lots of opportunities there, but I'm telling you, the 4 things I just told you: gallery with commentary analysis from me or experts, whatever. Gallery with different comments. Next, comments on the painting that you can slide through. That's why I thought the slider thing might work. Gallery with examples from third parties outside Discover Arts, and then a multimedia gallery where it might just be a YouTube player, Starry Night, and maybe a little bit of explanation on how it was derived. What do you think of that? Is that too many, or is that? What do you think? Is that? Would you browse around that stuff if you were on?
Well, I'm wondering. Well, I mean, I think the first thing is get some representative content, and of each of these species, and get them on the page, and then see what seems to make sense, where they seem to want to congregate together.
Okay. Well, before we lose our visual feed, let me show you something. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Also, and I also want to make sure that I made note of the fact that I had a little aha thing too about. Let me stop my share.
Good. Well, I'm gonna
about people want me to do a thing about music appreciation, so I was going to do this whole thing on.
Let's talk on the phone about that.
Okay, yeah,
like 3 minutes.
See, a whole different channel. It's like like I take the schema and apply it to that topic. Also, it's
well, I think it's wonderful. You'd be a great commentator.
Classic rock, but the thing is, like, my personal musical history starts with opera and goes through music comedy and eventually ends up with punk rock. So
that would make a great interview.
A lot of stations.
Let me show you this now.
Please do.
Show you this, please. Okay, so I built. I've got these. I've got these schemas.
Yes.
Okay, but I have lately. I've been working on this. Just started the center of the whole thing, right? That says artistic experience is multidimensional. So I created like an interview template. The first time and I discovered by doing this that the way we look at art is in glances, right? We look at it, then we might look at it again. We might look at it 5 years later and see something new. But it's not like there's these different dimensions, but they don't exist all at once. And then your mind is using it to interpret what it's seeing. What are the main colors? What are the shapes and images? You could ask it about stuff, but I try to keep it simple. Emotions or memories. And then after you did it, what would you say about the experience? So I used my friend Rain to look at Starry Night. Turns out he has a shower curtain of Starry Night. Apparently I influenced him heavily. And he's, but now look what he says. It's got movement. The swirling is calm, kind of tumbling, reminds me of a Christmas tree. I mean, he's not an art expert, but he played the exercise, right? What are the main colors you see? Blue is laid back, reminds me of watching the clouds go by. It's my shower curtain, and then what kind of shapes and images do you see? Well, the last thing I looked at was a city. I see this easy flowing motion. And then what emotions? He said, wonder. He's like, wonder. It's all in front of you. It's like, natural 4th of July. And then how did you look at it? And he got exactly the way I designed the multimedia from. You start with
Uh-huh.
you go down to the town, you go up the tree. I was really impressed that he got that. And then, finally, after going through that whole exercise, what do you think? Right. And his answer was, well, it depends on what mood you're in. Some people would look at the darkness of the tree if they're in a dark mood. Some people, if they're in a playful mood, would dig the squirrel. So my point is, it works, Frank.
Right.
I don't know that most people would be this attentive to it, but the initial test worked, because what I want to do is this is what I want. So let me just spit this up. There's a really simple one. Like, I looked at this. What does it mean? Do you have anything else to say?
Mhm.
Impression is even shorter. An impression is you walk by and you look at it. What did you notice? Blah, 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 blah. And then, the artifact is the artifact. But this is part of what I was trying to get to, that I'm trying to map into the schema and all the things you just shared with me, right? So this is the idea of of a comment card. It's an observation. And as I said, I think I want to have at least 2 or 3 of these content types. Here's a reference, an object. And I'm probably following along your notion of templates, right? And maybe that's the simplest way. And back to your spreadsheet and Elementor,
Well, yeah. The other thing about the spreadsheet is that if you want to have this kind of interaction stuff, you need to have, especially be able to read it later on, you have to have a place to store it, right? So this is a means of doing that with the technology we have at hand for a website. The other thing is that it doesn't, thinking way ahead, the virtual reality space, maybe like a virtual real estate thing, maybe it's an actual virtual museum, with virtual exhibits. That's an actual piece of virtual real estate in the metaverse where this stuff happens too.
Yeah, well, that was,
like I say, way down.
That was kind of phase 4 of what we pitched to Cooper Hewitt.
Yeah.
Right. Well, now notice something else about this taxonomy. I've got this thing I was talking about. Like, this is not a artist they created. This is like, and I don't know what to do with this, Frank, yet. But I want you to just get the flavor of it.
I reading back through that stuff, the whole notion about you experience it and you try it, yourself and all that stuff, it's that three-pronged approach, I think, is really powerful. What was it? What was it again?
What, the immersion one?
Oh shit, hang on.
Oh shit. I can see that.
It may have been in the Sisu section. But I was just talking about, here it is. Experience it, learn it, do it. That's it.
Yeah, man.
Experience it, learn it, do it. That's I love 3s, like that.
Well, I'm all about it. So any comment? Is this making sense to you, what I'm trying to do?
Absolutely. So and the thing is that on the one side, there's like all kinds of inspiration. On the other side, there's complication, right? Like, you have to have user levels, and you have to vet, people have to have an account and all like that. And you have to deal with all that shit. You have to deal with people being an asshole and putting in stupid shit, all that jazz, all that.
That's why this is intimidating. If we were smart, we could build out a roadmap that says, look, and this is where I was going in my mind. We're just going to get a gallery and a blog up. So
to start for sure, right?
Pouring content into it and work on the design incrementally as we go. But the first release 1.0 is, here's a gallery with some stuff and some commentary, and here's a blog. That might be oversimplifying, because you may have to build more infrastructure to even get to that. Because you got your tag schema, you got your spreadsheet correlation, you got your Elementor style sheets. There's a shitload of work to get the basic house stood up.
Yeah. A lot of it, yes, that's true. In terms of styling and all like that, Elementor centralizing stuff like that makes that easy, fun, even,
Yes.
Having half a dozen other sites already built in Elementor means that there's elements that are cannibalizable, even just stylistic elements. One of the nice things you can do from one page to another is, if you got a widget on a page, you can just copy it and go to the next page and say, paste the style. And just the style will there's all kinds of nice stuff like that help make it easy. It's the interaction and tracking the interaction stuff that's the hard part, right? And that's why my mind goes immediately to the spreadsheet and all like that. But talking back, I've done this now, where I've gotten two-way communication forms and all like that. That's the other thing is the forms, the WP Forms thing makes a lot of this stuff really easy too, so, and
It's
you've
not
got lots
rocket,
of,
it's
so,
not, it's not
yeah.
rocket science, and it's what my
Yeah.
knowledge base does. I
Right.
use particular forms or schemas to create a content object. Then I tag those schemas up with all kinds of topical information, workflow states, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Now I've got, and then I build up several of these. I don't have to have 100 of them. I might end up with half a dozen or a dozen at
No,
most.
better to have a few, better to have a small, medium, and large, right? In terms of amount of stuff on the
Well, we-